Welcome back to Find Your Alpha. In this edition, we're going to be talking about high mileage women and why these women are toxic and they should remain single. What is a high mileage woman? Now, this is my opinion of what a high mileage woman is. And other men will have differing opinions, but this is how I feel. I consider a high mileage woman one who has had more than one sexual partner for each decade that she has been outside of marriage or a long-term cohabitating relationship. And I've got some examples here. For a 20-year-old, I'm saying that it's reasonable for her to have up to 2 sexual partners prior to her getting involved with you, which would mean that you would be her 3rd sexual partner. For a 30-year-old, you can see it's 3, and you would be her 4th. And for a 40-year-old, 4, and you would be her 5th. Beyond that, it's very questionable as to why a woman would not have been in some type of long-term relationship. So I only went up to 40 years of age. Now, what I'm saying is if she's had more than the reasonable number of sexual partners, I consider her a high mileage woman and someone that you really have to be cautious with if you're considering getting into any type of committed relationship. What are the risks of getting into a committed relationship with a high mileage woman? Number 1, they cannot fully pair bond. And the reason being is they've had so many relationships with so many men that they're constantly going to have attributes of those relationships in their mind that they're going to draw from time to time, or they're going to think back to, or they may hunker back to, or they may reach back to and actually act upon them. So that is, I don't know if it's the top reason, but it's a key reason. They cannot fully pair bond. She will always, in her mind, be comparing you to her past lovers. Now, I'm not just talking about in the lovemaking respect, but talking about just your mannerisms, how you're doing in your career, your social status, all of those things. She's constantly going to be assessing you versus past lovers. And in her mind, kind of rationalizing, wow, maybe my current guy isn't as good as the first guy I had, or the second guy I had, or the 5th guy I had. Number 3, and this is just from my experience. Once an alpha male, a strong alpha male, has driven into her garage, he will likely always be welcomed back. Now, I use the little terms in jest here, but what I'm talking about is if an alpha male has had a relationship with a woman and has imprinted on that woman, and let's say he broke up with her or they just mutually ended the relationship, but in her mind, she still has feelings for this man. If that man were to reach out to her in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, she's going to be very curious about potentially connecting with him. And again, my philosophy is, and from personal experience, once you've driven into her garage, you've had that intimacy with her, there was a connection, and you're a strong alpha, you will always be welcomed back to some degree. And the final one is the public shame and embarrassment that goes with buying the cow when you could get the milk free, just like everybody else has, or a number of people have before you. Why are you committing to somebody who's basically not valued themselves? Other people in your community, especially if you live in a small town or in a community where people know each other, or let's say in a workplace where people know each other and know their histories, there's going to be a lot of public shame and embarrassment with that. And you may think, well, hey, I've got a strong personality. I can weather that. Don't be too sure about it. Don't be too sure about it. That one has a bigger impact than many men believe. So now I wanted to get to a story that I came across, and this really illustrates, why you've really got to do your due diligence before you get into a committed relationship with a woman to really find out about her sexual past. And as you'll see from the title of this story, I found out my girlfriend moved to the big city to distance herself from her promiscuous past. All right, let's get right into it. So as the guy says here, I'm 31 years old and my girlfriend, let's call her Jessica, is 28. We've been together for about 18 months now and have had a great relationship so far. We both have good paying jobs, around $75K per year, and live separately with each of us having our own apartment. That's a pretty good relationship there. Jessica grew up in a small town in eastern Washington, which has a large college, and I grew up here in the greater Seattle area. We met at a coffee shop just after she moved to Seattle to take a job at a large national retailer. I wonder which one she took a job at, Costco or Starbucks maybe. Since she knew few people in the area, we've spent nearly every day together since we met. After a month of dating, we mutually decided to become exclusive. Bad move, only a month of dating, and now he's saying, hey, let's go exclusive. You really need to get to know someone longer, even though you're not cohabitating, before you become exclusive. And according to him, things went great, since they did that. We are very passionate for each other, and our bedroom activities are the best I've ever experienced. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. Her being very good in bed, and I'm sure probably a very good-looking woman. He's experienced that now, and he wants to hold on to it. In addition to this, Jessica is a good cook, level-headed, and is frugal with her money, attributes in a woman that I really like, and I like those attributes as well. Jessica has met my parents many times, and they really like her, as does the rest of my family. She has spent each holiday with us since moving to Seattle, only returning home once a few days before Christmas to see her family. So that's kind of a red flag there. Okay, here's this woman now, she's living in Seattle. She only lives, let's say 3 or 4 hours, I'm sure, because that's the maximum drive across the state of Washington, maybe about 4 hours, maybe a little bit longer than that. And she's only been back once in 18 months to see her family. I would consider that a red flag. Up to this point, Jessica has talked very little about her family and life back in eastern Washington, other than basics. And I have not met her family. So that's definitely a red flag as well. She's met your family. She spent all this time with your family, but yet you haven't met her family. Fast forward to 10 days ago, Jessica's sister and brother-in-law were back in her hometown visiting from Costa Rica. They've lived there 3 years, and this is their first return home since leaving. Jessica's mom and dad called me to personally invite me to come home with Jessica to meet them and the entire family. This is where things started getting weird. So this is red flag time. About an hour after speaking to Jessica's parents, Jessica called me to discuss the trip home, saying I didn't have to go and that her family was quirky and I may not like them, and for this reason she'd prefer to go alone. I said nonsense and insisted on going as I really wanted to meet her family since we were getting serious. She reluctantly agreed for me to go. On the drive over to eastern Washington, Jessica was not herself. She was distant, as if her mind was thinking about something outside of the two of us. And you're going to find out as we go through this story, I'm sure, what she was thinking about. When I asked her what was wrong, she just said, I'm just worried about you meeting my family and that you may not like them. I told her there was nothing to worry about, and if I didn't like them, that wouldn't change my love for her. So he's reassuring her about meeting her family. We arrived in eastern Washington, and I met her parents and extended family, and they were all great people, very friendly and welcoming, and I felt very comfortable with them. Friday night was great, and on Saturday, Jessica's brother and brother-in-law wanted me to go to a large softball tournament / picnic with them while the women went shopping. This is where things got weird again. So let's find out what happened. Jessica said she'd prefer I'd spend the day with her instead of going with her brother and brother-in-law. She said we could go take a hike or something. I was fine with this, and we discussed this with her brother and brother-in-law. They said we insist on me, meaning him, going with them, as it will be a chance for us guys to bond. So reluctantly, Jessica agreed to me going. While at the softball event and picnic, the guys introduced me to everyone they met. It must have been over 50 people. They were both popular guys in town and know a lot of people. We had a great time. Throughout the 3.5 hours we were away, Jessica called me hourly asking how I was doing and how it was going. So there's another red flag. She's calling you every hour. You know, you're only gone for 3.5 hours, but she's calling you constantly here through this 3.5 hours, asking you how it's going, you know, how was it going? I told her everything was fine and I was having a great time. Sunday came quickly. The weekend wrapped up and we drove back to Seattle. I had a great time meeting her parents, and Jessica was relieved and overjoyed at how well the weekend went. She was totally present and talkative the entire way home, polar opposite of how she was on the way over. So this woman, you know, everything went well with her parents and her extended family, so she's feeling really good. But we still haven't found out yet why she was so removed on the drive over. Now, here's where our relationship takes a sharp left turn. On Friday of that week, so they came back on Sunday, so now here we are 5 days later. On Friday of that week, I received an anonymous letter from someone in Jessica's hometown, presumably from someone I had met last weekend. The letter was typed on Word. Oh, okay, so Word Perfect or Word in Microsoft, and there was no signature or other identifying information. The person definitely wanted to remain anonymous. In the letter, the writer said they were sending this letter to advise me of my girlfriend's past in the event I was not aware. Ugh. The letter said Jessica was the most popular, in quotations, girl at her high school and hometown college. She had quite the reputation for promiscuity, and it was well known that Jessica had over, wait for it here folks, 100 sexual partners, including at least one married man with children whose marriage was destroyed by the affair. So not only did she have 100 plus sexual partners, she was also a home-wrecking person. Reading this stopped me in my tracks. I was shocked, saddened, with some feelings of being misled and lied to. Jessica was on her way over to my apartment, and we were going to cook dinner and spend the night together, so I had to think fast. I decided the best way to handle the situation was to just hand her the letter, let her read it, and then we could discuss it. Jessica arrived and I kissed and hugged her tightly, thinking this may be our last romantic kiss as a couple if the letter was true. I told her to sit down as I had something to show her. She sat on the couch and I sat on the chair across from her, and I handed her the letter. As she read it, I could see the fear in her face, followed by a stream of tears as she read on. When she finished, she put the letter down in her lap and stared at the ceiling with tears running down her face. I asked her if this was true. Now listen, she comes right out and says it. She said that it was, and that she is ashamed of her past. She said she got swept up into sexual addiction and I call it here the femme movement. We know what that is. That started in high school and ended just before she moved to Seattle. So she's claiming, hey, I got caught up in the feminist movement and I became basically like a sexual addict and got swept up in that. And that's the reason why I had all these affairs in my hometown. She said she is a different person since leaving her hometown, and especially since we've been together. She asked me to forgive her for not telling me this information before, as she was afraid that I would leave her, and now that I know this, she is fearful I will leave her now. I said this is a lot for me to take in, and I will need some time to think things through. Which I totally understand that. I asked that she leave so I could process everything. She agreed reluctantly, saying she was afraid I would drop her and this would be the last time we were together. She asked if I could hold her and kiss her for a while before she left, and I did so for approximately 20 minutes. She left and later texted me several times professing her love and how she has changed. I knew what my decision was before even thinking it through. So this guy, he sounds like a rational guy, but he's also got, of course, it sounds like alpha characteristics, or at least he's finding his alpha as he's experiencing this. Because as you'll see, he's going to do the right thing, in my opinion. He knew, what his decision would be before even thinking it through. I would end our exclusive relationship, as I could never be in a committed relationship with someone with such a past, and definitely would never marry them. Having 100 plus partners was a deal breaker, but destroying a marriage for her sexual pleasure was a bridge too far, which made me not even want to date her. So hearing all of this, and especially that she broke up someone's home. Now, you can't put that all on her because, of course, the man she had the affair with is equally responsible, maybe even more so responsible, because he should have had the respect for his wife and family and not got into a sexual relationship with a single woman. But that's neither here nor there. But this, pretty much sealed the deal for the guy that I don't want anything to do with her. On Saturday morning, I met her at her apartment and broke the news. She was devastated and started crying hysterically. She asked if there was any way to save our relationship, and I told her there wasn't, based on the number of partners, the home wrecker incident, and the fact that she kept this information from me for 18 months. Now, there may have been a chance if she was forthcoming up front. If she told him, hey, I had all these sexual partners, I want to tell you this before we get too serious, maybe he would have gotten into the relationship with her, and as things built over time and they bonded together, maybe he could have looked past that. I doubt it. I could not do that, but there's some men potentially that could do it. But the fact that she kept this from him, and also kept the fact that she broke up someone's home from him, was a deal breaker, which I agree with. I left her to cry and felt terrible doing so, as I was walking away from the most significant love of my life up to this point. Prior to leaving, I told Jessica I would not ghost or block her, and that I'd be there for her to talk and help her work through this, but it would be best for us both to go our separate ways, as we could never be a couple. I've spoken to her once since then, and she really just called to see if there was any chance I may change my mind, and I told her there wasn't. She said her sister and mother were helping her work through things, and she was going to explore seeking professional help to help her get peace with the demons from her past. That's where things now stand with us. So the key takeaways here, okay, and this is, in my opinion, what the key takeaways are. Everyone, both men and women, should have a heart-to-heart talk with their partners prior to entering into an exclusive relationship. And that heart-to-heart talk should talk about their past. And they need to put everything on the table. And it should be mutually understood that if something is omitted, something major is omitted from this discussion that is discovered later, that will be a deal breaker for the relationship, and the relationship may end abruptly because of that. So both partners know and understand that if they're harboring a secret, a dark secret, and that secret comes out, that it could end their relationship immediately. Next, and this is a message I have to women. Women, respect your bodies for the treasured temples that they are. I'm not saying that you have to live basically in celibacy until you get married. I'm not saying that. I'm saying respect your body and don't just give it away to everyone. And look past this femme revolution and look past this carousel riding, because in the end, I have not seen any situation where that has worked out to the betterment of a woman and her desire to have a long-term, lasting, loving relationship. It's very easy for you as a woman to give away your body to every man that you desire. But by doing so, you risk ever finding a life partner to love and treasure you. Yeah, you're going to find guys that want to get with you and do the pump and dump, as some people refer to it, or maybe even date you for a while and then cast you aside. And all that's going to do is emotionally destroy you. Instead, treat your body as a sacred temple and only give it out to individuals who you feel a very strong bond towards. This will increase, first of all, your self-confidence, and secondly, it will better position you for a long-term, loving relationship with a man. So that's this week's video. Again, the key message here is high mileage women are toxic and they should remain single. You've got to exercise extreme caution when dealing with these women. You can date them, you can go out with them, you can have fun with them, but by no means, and this is my opinion again, should you ever get involved in a long-term committed relationship with a high mileage woman. So please comment. Have you had an experience with a high mileage woman? How did that go? How did it work out? How do you think this guy handled the situation? And if you like this video, please share it. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow this channel and grow the Find Your Alpha community. And I appreciate you all watching and listening to this video. And I'll catch you on the next one.